Okay, welcome back for day 7 of 10 of this little 10 days to 10 years mini series. 4 days left till 10 years sober. I am so excited. So today I am here to break down one of everyone's favorite cliché phrases. This cliche is used often in recovery, but this one really extends far beyond just the recovery community. So today, let's talk about "this too shall pass." This is right up there with another one of my favorite cliches that my twin and I, my best friend, talk about constantly, which is, "it is what it is." It's like, well, duh. This too shall pass. Well, duh. But this phrase relates a lot to the topic from yesterday about presence and presence being such a gift of recovery. And in the discussion about presence, something that I have learned throughout my time in sobriety is that the reason why things never passed for me and the reason why I was miserable and felt shitty 99.9% of the time when I was out there drinking and using is because I did not allow for the full cycle of emotion to take place and therefore pass through me. So I talk about this moment quite a bit because it was a really pivotal moment for me in my recovery, even though it might not sound like a huge deal to the average person, but it was a big deal to me. So this was in 2017. So I had about 4 years sober because it was the summer. And I'll never, ever forget this experience because it just so beautifully illustrates this concept of "this too shall pass." So I was having a rough day on this particular summer day. I was super stressed out. I think in this case, I was stressed about finances and just, your classic run-of-the-mill life stressors. And I remember that day making a very conscious decision that I was not going to escape. I wasn't going to drink a bunch of caffeine. I wasn't going to engage in whatever escape patterns of behavior that I was engaging in sobriety at the time. And I consciously chose to meditate as a way of relieving my anxiety and changing my mood and turning my day around. And it's really funny now that I am a meditation guide and that I, do this job and I teach what I teach. Because back in 2011, before I got sober, when I was having severe mental health crises constantly, I was doing a DBT skills group, and obviously mindfulness, or maybe not if you don't know, but mindfulness is a part of DBT. And so at the beginning of these groups, we would do these, mindful moments, these mindfulness meditations, and it was literal torture for me. I had such a hard time with it. And I literally couldn't sit still or meditate for a minute in those days. And so when I tell my old therapist now that I'm like a meditation guide and a yoga teacher and a Reiki master and all these things, she's like, "You? What?" Like, miracles really do happen. So at this time, I was at the beginning of my meditation journey, and I was like really committed to learning how to meditate and using it as a tool and a skill to improve my life. So I was having all this anxiety, and so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna choose to meditate. And so I meditated, and I felt better, I wasn't like totally cured or anything, but I was like, all right, it worked to a degree. And then I went to work and I went about my day and did all my normal daily activities. And then later that day, I'll never forget this. I was driving home from work and I was on the overpass where you go from the 405 and you get onto the 10. And so I'm on the 405 north, getting onto the 10 west. And on that overpass, I happened to be at the time listening to Fleetwood Mac, Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow. So I'm rocking out. I'm like, don't stop. Like, I'm totally into it. And as I get on the 10 west, there is just the most beautiful sunset in front of me. So I'm driving into the sunset, listening to this amazing song, and I was moved to tears. I just started crying. And I remember in that moment being like, wow. Old me would have drank or used over what happened earlier. I would have allowed that to derail my day to the point where I would have gotten high. You know, like I would have gotten high to cope with the anxiety and stress that I was feeling earlier. And if I was high, I would have missed this. And this is just an everyday moment. It's cruising on the freeway, listening to a good song, seeing a beautiful sunset, the end of a hard day's work. And it's that level of presence and that ability to let life move through me and move me to tears. That is such a gift. And in that moment, for the first time in my embodied, lived experience, I made a very important connection. I was like, oh my God. The reason why I felt like shit all the time back when I was drinking was because I didn't allow the sadness or anxiety or anger or whatever it was to have its space to move through and pass. Because that's what emotions do, they pass. In the brain, from a biological, neuroscience, chemical perspective, emotions actually only last about 90 seconds. The reason why they seem to last so much longer is because we get in a loop about the story around the emotion, or we don't allow it to just fully play out and pass through so that the next thing can come into our container, the container of our awareness. So if we allow ourselves to fully feel the sadness, fully feel the anxiety, fully feel the grief without needing to escape or numb out or get drunk or get high, it passes quickly. And then joy, gratitude, whatever the next thing is able to fully occupy the container of our body and the container of our awareness. But if we stop the cycle midway, we actually just prolong the cycle. That's how these things work. And so I thought for so long that by getting high, I didn't have to feel, but actually I just felt like kind of a numbed version of low-grade shittiness all of the time because I was avoiding feeling it completely. And so I prolonged the cycle of that emotion instead of allowing it to pass through and then allowing joy or happiness or contentment to fill my container later. So this too shall pass, quote unquote, is true. And if you simply allow, it will pass a lot quicker than you may think. more in all directions. We are only here to honor what is authentically moving through the container of our awareness, moment by moment by moment. And I promise it passes quicker than you think it will, if you simply observe and allow. Don't stop the cycle. It just prolongs it. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Subscribe, leave a comment, share, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We're getting so close. Only 3 days left. Mwah.